Money's only going to buy you so much. I mean, you can only have so many houses, like you said, the private jets, the boats. Cool. What now? What? You want to have a fulfilled life, and you want to be able to make sure that the people that are on the ride with you are fulfilled too. I want to make sure they're living their best life too, you know? And as long as I can provide that kind of lifestyle and, you know, head up those fun trips, like, to me, that's a fulfilled life. The stuff doesn't matter. More money doesn't matter.
Welcome to another episode of the Deeper Than Know podcast. I'm super excited to have Megan on as a guest today. Thanks, Megan, for joining me.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Megan, can we start with 2 or 3 minutes of your background?
Yeah, so I am the CEO and founder of Magnolia Soap and Bath company. We currently have 42 open locations. We've got around 17 in development right now. We are scattered across around 15 states so far, hoping to expand that this year pretty rapidly. But we are a experiential retail soap business, and we handcraft all of our soap in stores, locally owned, locally made, plant-based, very great for your skin, very hydrating, and it doesn't have all the nasty chemicals that, you know, you're used to seeing in all of the things you find on the Walmart shelf or whatnot.
I just got introduced to an app called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. Have you heard of that?
I have.
I scan all these barcodes, and then it was like, if you pay, I think it was like a pay whatever you want model. Like, if you want to subscribe, pay whatever you're comfortable with. And I think it like recommended $12 a month or a year. I forgot. And then it releases all the soap products and the shampoos. I was like, I didn't even ever think to check that stuff.
Oh man, you will be so that's basically the reason I started this entire company. I had my first child, and of course, I'm a typical Southern mom. Like, I am wanting to make sure that everything is just amazing for her skin, and that you know, I'm putting only the best of the best on her skin and her body. I'm the one that was in there, you know, making her baby food. Like, that was me. But that's kind of what triggered my cognizance of what I'm putting on my baby. Was I pulled up the Johnson & Johnson, whom you think is absolutely the safest thing for your baby, because that's what we're taught since we were born, that you put baby lotion on a baby. Well, you go look at those ingredients and it will absolutely terrify you. First of all, you can't read them. And second of all, if you start researching those actual ingredients, they're not great for a baby. And so that's what like triggered me. I was like, there's got to be something better. And I mean, honestly, like, there was nothing on the market that I could find that was just really making my mama heart okay with putting that on my baby. So I started making it myself in my kitchen. And that's how I started making my products, was literally out of just reading the ingredients and realizing, like, this is not great for my baby.
And then, so this Yuka app, you scan any barcode, and then it pulls up all there. I mean, it just kind of gives you recommendations. So if it's food, it'll like rate it 0 to 100. I guess it does the same with soaps. But what's cool is it'll tell you what it thinks is harmful. You click on it, and then it links the studies to it. So anyways, it's super cool.
So it does that with food and ingredients, like food and, so it's going to do that with food and like healthcare products, or food too.
Yes.
Wow.
I just started getting into that. You can go anyway. So like, yeah, the YUKA body washes. And I started doing that with what I had, Head and Shoulders. Terrible. And I was like, oh crap. And then we give you recommendations. The same thing. We used a little purple Johnson & Johnson, baby shampoo.
Tear free.
Yeah. And it's like, I had no idea, because you just don't pay attention to it. You don't think so. Anyways, that's super cool. How long ago was that? When did you have that was your first child?
That was my first child, my 8-year-old. So I've been doing Magnolia Soap for around 7 years now.
Okay.
We just started franchising it though around 2020. So it was just really like my baby at first, and was just kind of testing the market, and opened up in some smaller towns local to myself. But we did start franchising in 2020 with it.
How many stores did you have before you started franchising?
I had 3. I had 3 corporate locations.
And then we got connected through Eric Van Horn in the franchise world. And he's an advisor to you as well?
He is. He's an advisor. Yep.
Yeah, he's been an advisor for us for about coming up on 2 years now. And the franchising world is a little difficult.
It is. It's a whole different breed. Like, I mean, it really is like a whole different ball game. I mean, and I don't come from this background. Like, my background was cosmetology. And I mean, I had some business hustle in me, but the franchising world, like, unless you have some strong advisors like Eric and Jeffrey Herr and all that, it's hard to make a dent in this industry.
Yeah. So when did you bring on Eric and Jeff? And I guess I want to dive in a little bit onto the advisory side and ask them for help.
Yeah. So early on, the beautiful thing about Magnolia Soap is everyone that we've brought in with our franchisees has been completely organic. We have never gone through FSOs or anything like that. So it's always a brand fan. It's a consumer that, shopped with us for so long. And she's like, this would really go over well in my hometown. And so then, like, it kind of, everything for us grew very organically. And I was thankful for that because I was able to be along the step. I was the one that was selling the franchises. I was the one walking through, signing the FAs and all of the fun steps of opening a store. I was able to be super hands-on with that initially when we first started out. But as we got, up to that 10 mark where I was kind of like, I had 10 franchisees that were signed on, ready to open. And I just realized I'm kind of getting overwhelmed and I can't really do this on my own anymore. And I had a guy approach me about doing like an early buyout. Like, he's coming in, like he's wanting to come in and really help me and throw some money my way. I wasn't comfortable with it. I was like, I don't want to do this yet. I'm not ready for that. And somebody just randomly mentioned I should contact Eric Van Horn and just throw this by him and see, what his thoughts were on that. So I contacted Eric and we just had a couple of phone conversations, and it turned into him kind of like really saying, hey, like, let me help you. Let's, be a part of my mastermind group where you can hear and see things. I was also very interested in hiring on someone to help with the franchising sales part of it, because I couldn't do that and run corporate locations. And, I was wearing all hats, and I still wear a lot of more hats than I probably should, but I very quickly realized that I needed help, and Eric was one of the best, the best people out there at the time that I knew of. And so I reached out to him for really help with the franchise sales side of the business. And then from there, I met Jeffrey Herr in one of the masterminds that we had. We were talking about how to have a great discovery day. And Jeff and I just kind of got some banter going back and forth. And he's kind of like, who is she? I kind of want to talk to her. And so Eric called me right after the mastermind. And he was like, hey, do you mind jumping on a call with me and Jeff? We kind of want to talk to you about some things. And that's kind of where like the whole advisory thing came in with them. And we really like teamed up and started growing this thing and getting real serious about the infrastructure and the people and the pieces I have in place with Magnolia Soap.
Yeah. And most people that listen to this probably aren't super familiar with franchising. So you mentioned FSO. Most franchises grow by hiring a broker to sell your franchises. And what you were saying is you haven't done any of that. It's people trying your product, being passionate about it, and saying, I want to bring this to the local market, which is awesome. And then you talked about FA, franchise agreements, just the agreement that you sign with the franchisee so they can license your brand and get access to your product. So anyways, just
clearing it up. Yeah. I forget that I'm not on a big franchising podcast.
So 2020, you started franchising after, you said 2017 you started, you did 3 years, 3 corporate stores. You liked it and you thought, I want to expand this. Or what triggered you to franchise? Was it people already asking you to franchise it? Or what kind of put that bug in your ear?
Yeah, I totally wasn't even thinking about the franchising option. I mean, nothing I do, I don't do anything small. Like I'm not going to like just go open one store and just hang out. Like, that's just not me. That's never been who I am. And so, I mean, I knew I was going to expand and have multiple locations. I was comfortable just doing corporate locations and that would be, that'd be fine for me. Well, I was opening my 3rd location in Jackson, and I had this guy that just kept calling, and he was like, I really want to open a store in Memphis. I really want to do this. Like, please let me do this. And I no franchise knowledge. I had no idea what the first step I even needed to take to do that would have been. But I told him, I said, I took the call with him and I heard him, and he loved my product. He loved what I had. We chatted for, probably 30 or 45 minutes. And at the end of the conversation, I said, you know what, I'm going to call my attorney and just see what this looks like and see what the next steps would be and see how feasible this is. And we can go from there. And so we did that. As you know, this is not an easy process. It doesn't happen overnight. We went through that. It was probably an 8-month process for us because I had to get a lot of my ducks in a row and really line up all of the things that you need to get a franchise, to franchise a business. But yeah, he called and he was my first franchisee after that. Once we got all the paperwork lined up.
That wanted a franchise, so you thought, let's start looking into it. So The next question, I kind of want you to speak to the purpose behind the business, and again, coming to the topic of the podcast of the joy and the fulfillment. You mentioned I don't ever do, that's not who I am, just that one store person. So I want you to get into a little bit of that, as far as we have this innate desire to expand and progress. And I think that's what I would say is the fulfillment piece, but it's also a fine line because you can't do it forever. I mean, you can have fulfillment forever, but it can't be, I want more and more and more and more and more. I'm going to wait to have more fulfillment when I have a dozen stores, 2 dozen stores, 40 stores, 50 stores, So I also, if you could speak a little bit to that, how are you making sure that, how many stores do you see up? 47?
Yeah, 42 open right now.
42 open and then another 17 on the way. So that's rounded up to 60.
Yeah.
That's crazy. If you go back 6-7 years ago when you started this, I bet you didn't imagine that. I'm going to have 50, 60 stores across 15 states. So yeah, kind of talk to me about that with the joy and fulfillment piece and how that's playing into it.
Yeah. So the joy and the fulfillment to me comes with allowing an entrepreneur to be able to step out. I mean, a lot of the people that have come into our system and our culture are previous nurses, they were in the healthcare right during COVID when all of this was going down, and they got completely burnt out, and they're like, you know what? Soaps make me feel good. Soaps smell good. It's a purpose and a drive I can get behind. So I want to try this out. And so we've got a lot of healthcare. I've got a chiropractor, a former chiropractor. I've got plenty of nurses. I've got a lot of Army. I've got a lot of military people in there. I also have a lot of other franchisees of different systems. So we've got some Qdoba, Smoothie King, Chick-fil-A, kind of Wingstop, people that are involved in other franchise systems. But to me, it's kind of like we're giving entrepreneurs that creative freedom and that outlet for them to do something for themselves. And to me, that was always something that I'm super creative. And that's kind of why I went into the cosmetology world, was that I can use that and still make some money and feel good about myself. But now with making soap, I mean, I'm able to just unleash all my creativity there. But it's for myself, I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for my family, and I'm making money at it, and we're making people happy. We have a program also that we call our Hope and Soap. For me, charity is super, super imperative. I grew up doing mission trips my whole life, and really thought that was my true calling, was that I was going to be, missions was my thing. Well, I never wanted to have a business that I couldn't incorporate, that side of my passion into my business. And so with us, we created a program called Hope and Soap. With Magnolia Soap, it's called Hope and Soap. And what we do is we're able to target 12 charities every single year, local to our community. And we make a soap and we have it, beautifully colored, and it's sitting right at the register at checkout. But all the proceeds from the sale of that soap go directly to that local charity. And so we're able to touch, people in our own community. And that was huge to me. I mean, missions, in a different country is great and all that, but I want to touch our community. I really wanted to make sure that our brand was community centric. We basically call our owners like the little mayors of their towns, because like we want to be able to use our product and our brand to touch more people in our community locally. I mean, it does no good for me to have this huge national brand and I'm not, touching the hearts of my local communities.
Yeah. When did you start Hope and Soap? What year was that?
We started Hope and Soap 2 years ago.
Okay. So, I mean, really within a year of franchising, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I hear a lot of, I want success, I want money, I want a big business so I can give back. But I have to have a $10 million business or $100 million, $1 billion business. And it's like, if you wait for that, you're just going to keep waiting. I don't know if you went through this, but I told myself, man, everything's going to get so much easier when I open my first franchise. And then it was when I open up store number 10, it's going to be so much easier. And then it's, oh no, just another 6 months. And have another dozen franchise, and it never stops.
It never
stops. Like, okay, I'm going to stop telling myself it's going to get easier, and rather just like, it doesn't matter if it gets easier, if it gets harder. I need to make sure that I'm attached to doing something that I like. So anyways, I'm sure you get a lot of that from the Hope and Soap. Have you gone through that a little bit as well? Like, XYZ will change when I get 10 locations open, when I sell 50 franchises, you hit it and you're like, oh crap, I'm just kind of setting the next goal too quickly and not enjoying the actual success that you achieved?
I have to stop myself and really step back and give myself credit for what I have achieved in such a small amount of time. Because for me, I'm always, like I said, I don't do anything small. So I'm always on to the next thing. Like I'm never content with just mediocre. And so for me, I've literally had to train myself to sit down in my quiet time and be thankful and appreciative and cognitive of the growth that I have done. And honestly, what we did organically, like that was so strong. And I didn't give myself the credit I needed to give for that. And to me, in my mind, I'm still a small business. I'm still like, sitting here on, I've only got a couple of stores. And I'm like, I have people look at me and they're like, you're crazy. You've got 60 locations. What do you mean? This is not a small town game anymore. Like, but for me, as long as I can just sit back and take a step back, to me, that gives me the breath of fresh air to look clearly at what I have to do the next month, next 6 months, next year. And I'm huge on like 3 and 5 year goals, but I'm really strong on my 1 year goal and really watching that 1 year goal and not trying to get ahead of that. Because if I start doing that, like, again, I get into the butterflies and the rainbows, and I'm not focused on what I need to do now. And
you set that big 5 year goal and you hit amazing milestones along the way, but you kind of just brush them off because you haven't hit the 5 year goal yet.
Yeah, you forget the little things when you're looking at them, and that's life. I mean, we do that, and you do that every day. I mean, you just really have to focus on the here and now today, and making sure you're just. I mean, I'm a big believer in like 1% more every single day, like just being better every single day, so that my month looks better, so that my 6 months look better, so now my year looks better.
I love it. What piece of advice would you give, like practical piece of advice that somebody can follow that, to really put into practice what you're doing? Is there any habits or kind of rituals that you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to be able to step back and be able to enjoy and feel gratitude for what you've already achieved?
I'll tell you something. This is something I truly struggled with when I first. I mean, as you know, with the emerging brand and being a young entrepreneur, you're gonna want to work, 50 hours a day, and that's just part of the hustle and part of the grind of starting, something small and taking it bigger. But I really had to step back, and I've got 2 baby girls that I need to spend time with every single day. And I can remember, like, I'd just be in my phone, right, trying to do marketing. Cause I was also the marketing hat at that time. And I'd be on my phone and they're just like, Mommy, look at me and talk to me. And that really like hit with me one day that I was like, I've got to stop this. At some point, I've got to cut it off. And so for me, I made a cognitive effort. Like, I'm 9 to 5. Like, I'm not going to sit here on my phone from 5 to midnight when I need to be playing and hanging out with my children. So I was making sure, like, 9 to 5, I'm getting business stuff done, but I wasn't going to be on my phone once I got home. And once my children were in front of me, I was present with them. Another thing that really has really helped my mental health, I feel, is getting into a workout routine. I mean, I go every single morning to the gym for 2 hours. I've got my music going. It's just me and myself, and that to me has helped tremendously. I can't say that enough. Like, growing up, I was very athletic. I mean, I played all the sports. I was an athlete, but once I kind of started working, like, that kind of fell to the back, on the back burner, because I was so busy with everything else and raising children and having babies and things like that. But once I kind of took priority over my health again and started really making a cognitive effort to have that workout, to me, I felt better. I looked better. My mental health was better. I just had a air of confidence about me that I didn't have before. And I've only been doing this for about 6 months now. And I really feel like it's changed the game for me.
Yeah, that's huge for me as well. I mean, obviously for the physical health, we know we need to work out, but probably infinitely more important is the mental and emotional health, the confidence that it brings. And then also kind of that selfish time of like, I get to take care of myself first, especially when you do it at the beginning of the day. And then now I can go take care of other people because I fulfilled some of my needs.
That's exactly it. Like, I think you just hit the nail on the head when you're, let me take care of me first. Now I can take care of everything else. Because also another thing that you get into as an entrepreneur is that you're pouring into everybody else. You're pouring into your business. You're pouring into your franchisees. You're pouring into your management staff. And what's pouring into you? I mean, maybe you come home and your spouse does that, but if they don't, like, that's an empty cup. Nothing's pouring into you. And that was something that I felt on a deep level, was that I'm just constantly pouring and giving and nothing's filling me. And so I started with my morning prayer time, and I get my Jesus, and then I go get my workout on. And so for me, that has been game changer over the last 6 months. And I feel fulfilled. I feel like I'm able now to give and to pour out more because I'm taking care of myself first.
Yeah, that's awesome. What made you kind of draw that line of the 9 to 5? I went through the same thing. And before that, I was working all the time for my family. That's the lie I told myself. Like, my family cared if we had a little bit more money or a little bit less. Like my daughters gave a shit if they got another toy or something. So anyways, I'd love to, what triggered that in you? And if you're speaking to other entrepreneurs that are still in that, I'm working 80 hours a week because it's for my family, because I need to take care of them. How do you get out of that? Like, no, it's really, you're working for yourself, and you would probably appreciate you just being with them.
Right. I'm going to tell you what it was. It was my baby girl looking at me and saying, like, I feel like all you ever do is look at your phone instead of play Barbies with me. And for me, that was like gut punched me. And I was like, you're right. Like, I can't sit here and say that like you don't care if I make an extra $100,000 this year. You care that I'm down on the floor playing Barbies with you. And those are the moments that you'll never get back. And that's the time that you'll never get back. And from that statement, like, I took off probably 2 months and went with them to our lake house. And it was just us in there, on the water, skiing, whatever they wanted to do, just to really, focus in and give them more time. Because for me, I had realized that I had become that zombie of just the grind, because I'm doing it for my kids, I'm doing it for my family, but they don't care. They want your time. They want you healthy, and they want you present. Present is such a huge thing, is like present, but present, like not just sitting there, they want you engaging. And I just, out of the mouth of babes, my little girl telling me that, it just shook me to my core. And so I got with my management staff and I was like, guys, you're not going to see Megan grinding at 6 a.m. anymore. You're not going to see me up here working and pouring soap till midnight anymore, because it doesn't make sense for me anymore. And guess what? I'm paying employees to do that. So we have people that can do this. Like, I've got to quit being a control freak and step back and let people take over. Because that was my thing, is that I never wanted to release the control.
Yeah. I think the control is a big piece of struggle with that as well. Apart from the control, it's kind of the lead by example. Like, I can't ask people to work super hard if I'm not working hard. And then it's like, people just, I don't know. That was a big thing for me to let go of. Like, no, I'm going to do what's best for me, and people need to do what's best for them. And somehow it works out.
Well, I can remember Eric Van Horn telling me, I was like cleaning the toilets and stuff. He's like, Megan, you're the CEO of the company. How can you grow the company if you're in there cleaning the toilets? He's like, I don't understand. You've got to think bigger. You've got to start working on your business, not in your business. And for me, that was a huge, that saying has really resonated. It's like working on my business, not in my business. And so I did. I stepped back. I can do all the work I need to do from the lake house with my kids playing in the background. And that's kind of the first steps I took to like releasing some of that control and really focusing more on the big picture versus the daily grinds that'll just consume your time.
Yeah. So we talked about some daily rituals, religious prayer, faith in the morning, to some self-care, gym time, and then also some boundaries. Like, I'm not going to work all freaking day. Have that cut off with 5. And sometimes I'm sure you end a little bit earlier, and sometimes you do have to work a little bit later.
Right.
General parameters, I'm sure, because I've done a lot of those same things, and it's helped so much. And in order to I guess kind of wake up, because it's like, I want to work. I want more. I want more money. And then it's like, but why? And usually it comes down to, because I want more time with my family. It's like, God damn it, just have time with your family today.
Right, stop. Just quit. Just go have more time.
So I appreciate you sharing that. Is there anything else? Well, entrepreneurship sucks. It's scary. It's lonely. It's hard. If you're comfortable, if you could share a time that you've struggled mentally, like a mental health challenge, and what you leaned on to kind of break yourself out of it.
One thing that I really think that I struggled with the most was that, okay, what I'm doing here in Mississippi, I mean, I'm not in Texas. I'm in these places that have, these big franchise systems, is I have nobody that's doing what I'm doing around me. I have nobody that's expanding, their business like me. I have nobody that's really like that I can lean on to and say, like, when this happens, what I need to do. Nobody even understands franchising around here. I have to go out of state for a franchise attorney, because we don't even have people that practice with franchises here in Mississippi. And it's nothing against Mississippi. It's just, people don't typically start a big company, out of here. And so for me, it's been the hardest, I think, I can't go home and like talk about my struggles and the things or I can't go have drinks with my girls and them understand what I'm talking about, So when I'm trying to have when I have situations with a franchisee, or when I have a big, procurement issue that I can't go talk about that over margaritas with my girlfriends. Like, they just don't even understand what I'm talking about. Like, it completely blows their mind. So for me, like, it was a huge thing that I had no one to go to. I had no one to go to until I had my advisors. And so I've been super thankful for like Eric and Jeffrey and all them, that I can just be like, we'll even meet up, and I'm like, we just got to go like have drinks or go to the casino and hang out, just so that I can like talk what I want to talk about and y'all understand what I'm saying, because there's just nobody around here that gets what I'm going through and the struggles that I might have in business. Cause I mean, it's not rainbows and butterflies every single day. There's issues that come up, and there's things that you want to talk about, and it's great to have people that understand what you're saying. But for me, it's been hard that I hadn't had somebody that I can just talk to every single day about the problems that goes on. And so for me, like I said, meeting up with them, having a quick text session with them real quick, like, how should I handle this, or what should I do here? That's been really great for me.
And I started asking about advisors, and it really tied in. This is what I was going for. When I started bringing on advisors or investors or partners or whatever, it was, you have most of the world, even in the business world, don't give up the equity. Don't give up equity. Equity is the most important. Well, most important for what? Well, because the company could be worth so much. And it's like, and then what? I had my first advisor, he's our senior advisor. He gave me some really good advice. And he said, look, if you succeed, the business is worth a lot of money. Whether it's worth 10 million, 100 million, or hundreds of million, it doesn't matter. Like your lifestyle, other than maybe owning a private jet, you're going to do whatever the hell you want, whenever you want, when you sell a business. So it doesn't matter if you own 70% of a $500 million business or 10%. Like it really doesn't. And if it fails, guess what? It also doesn't really matter. So he was much more like, hey, do what aligns with what you want to do now, and don't worry about don't be tripping over the pennies. So that was something. And then I kind of embraced that. And I was like, okay, actually, I do want to bring on more partners and investors and advisors. And in the long run, yeah, maybe it cost me a little bit of money, but in the short term, and the entire way, it's like I get to achieve what I actually want. And what I want isn't money. Nobody wants money, but it's an emotion.
I want so much money. And I'm not saying that in a way of like, oh, I've got a lot of money. I'm saying it in the way of money's only going to buy you so much. I mean, you could only have so many houses, like you said, the private jets, the boats. Cool. What now? Now what? You want to have a fulfilled life, and you want to be able to make sure that the people that are on the ride with you are fulfilled too. And that I enjoy, we're huge with our family. I'm Italian, so we have a huge family, and like anywhere we go, we're rolling 20 deep. I want to make sure they're living their best life too, and as long as I can provide that kind of lifestyle and head up those fun trips, like to me, that's a fulfilled life. The stuff doesn't matter. The more money doesn't matter.
Yep. And you're bringing up the fulfillment or the money only we want money or status or whatever for an emotion. So if that's emotion's fulfillment, it's like, well, maybe you don't have to have as much money as you thought you have to have. But if you can kind of cut out the money thing and just say like, this is the emotion that I'm after. How do I get that emotion? And it doesn't matter if you own 90% of your business for 100. It's like, no, it's better to have those advisors that you can lean on, that they can understand you and they can support you. That's going to get you to that emotion that you're after. And I think a lot of times we don't ask ourselves why we want the business or why we want the money, why we want the success. We don't arrive to the emotion. We just fall short of the money. We achieve the money and we're like, oh shit. Now what? Like it didn't get me really what I wanted because we didn't take the time to fund it. So anyways, I appreciate you sharing that. Last question for you. What is the legacy that you want to leave behind? When Megan's gone, how do you want to be remembered by?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So is this in business or in life? Like in life?
In life, in business, however you want.
I want to be known that like I left a mark on, that I was passionate about something, and that like I feel like we have a very strong culture with Magnolia Soap. We have a very community-centric culture with Magnolia Soap. And that's a part of who I am personally. That's a part of who I am in a business. So I think that, really leaving my mark with that we made a difference in our community, and that we cared about our community, that we loved on our community, and that it's not just for the money. It's literally for the fulfillment, the camaraderie of your community coming together, and these owners making a difference in their community. I feel like that to me that thrills my soul when I see my stores taking this huge initiative with Hope and Soap and really just blowing it out of the water. Like that thrills my soul more than a $100,000 a month store sells, to me, when I can see like that they're making a difference in their community is rallying around them and supporting them. These products that I hand created every single recipe for are making a difference in people's life. That to me is my legacy. And that's what I feel like really is what I hope people, think of when they think of Magen Bynum.
That's awesome. And I think that that's why you're having, I imagine you can contribute a decent amount of success to that. because if you're just after the success or the money, it's not enough to get you through the freaking stressful shit, payroll and firing people and then hiring the wrong people. And it's not enough. You have to have that bigger purpose and a bigger legacy that you're after. So I appreciate you sharing that. How do people connect with you, Megan?
Well, you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, magnoliasoapandbath.com. Also for our website. We ship out all over the United States. So hop on there and shop with us. But yeah, just social media, LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Megan Slider Bynum.
That's why I went to your website to throw out the Johnson & Johnson. Because again, I like scanned it and it's like, oh, this is shit. I was like, okay, well, I'll figure this out later. I figured it out today.
You start doing all your other products. Even like, just think about like the dish soap that you're using, which I'm plugging a new product line I'm about to drop as my dish soap. I was not cognitive of that. Like I'm sitting here like so aware of everything else I'm using on my skin, on my laundry, like our laundry wash. We have a cult-like following with our laundry wash. Everything you're using from your laundry soap down to your bar soap in your hair, or your shampoo bar, your bar soap. I'm very aware of that. But then I got to thinking, like, I go over there and look at the ingredients in like my Dawn that I'm using to clean dishes with. And I'm like, wow, I'm appalled that I've eaten, like, okay, that's going in my kid's mouth because they're eating on the plate. And then, so like, it just triggered this whole thing of like, what can I create now? And so I did come out with a new, a dish soap. And so that's going to be launching pretty soon. But like, yeah, just you start thinking about that and that comes front and center of your mind. You're not going to touch anything without scanning it.
I'm going to be doing that more. Deodorant is one thing that we did replace a few years because I saw, who knows, I didn't really jump into it that much, but all the breast cancers and the aluminum.
Yes.
We left that behind several years ago.
We have an amazing deodorant as well. Just letting you know.
I'm going to go check it all out right now.
Here's the thing that you have to be worried about. And this is something that people don't think about until they actually understand it. So when you walk in somewhere and you smell the smells, like, so when you walk in, and I'm just going to use a big company for it, like Bath and Body Works, and you smell that smell, those are phthalates you're smelling. That's what it's called, phthalates. Phthalates are hormone disruptors. Sometimes you'll get that instant headache with it. Sometimes, you feel kind of nauseous when you smell too much of it. Those are phthalates. Well, my products have fragrances in them, but we have stripped all the phthalates out of them. So I have a company that we work exclusively with that I can take any smell that we've got in our entire 70 something plus scent profiles, and we strip the phthalates out of them. So not only can you smell good, you don't have those harmful ingredients that are present. I mean, and even our candles and things like that, we are using phthalate-free fragrances. And that's what sets us apart from everybody else. And the phthalates are what also is going to probably give you the very high ranking on like, do not use this product because of the phthalates in it.
All right, I'm excited. Now you mentioned candles, and I think let's get my wife on board.
Heck yeah, we got soy candles.
So anyways, Megan, I really appreciate your time. It was great catching up with you.
Thanks. Good seeing you again.